What's up, Crypto Paradise fam? It's Ian and Nick. Wednesday, May 15th. We are back with another recording today. We have no guest. We're just talking general market conditions. What's happened over the past couple days? Why is Bitcoin all of a sudden back at 65K? I mean, I'm not complaining, but I wanted people to understand, or hopefully try to understand, why does the market move in certain ways? Like, what is behind this crazy volatility? So we want to dive into that. We want to talk a little bit about the meme craze back, Roaring Kitties back, GameStop stock is back. So we can talk about that a little bit at the end of the segment here. But let's just talk about Bitcoin. Yesterday we were like 60K, now we're 65. Nick, what is happening? What is what is going on?
We've talked about a little bit about the expectation of downside to sideways volatility after the Hong Kong ETF, after the Bitcoin halving, that it wasn't really out of the norm to see that sell the news event, which is what we saw. Once we got down there around 57, 58,000, we also were on the show saying, hey, don't let the market lull you to sleep. You need to take positions in Bitcoin. We're getting very oversold. Everybody's scared. And what do you know? Have been bouncing off that level. And just a couple days ago, we were 60,000. But today we had the CPI beat, meaning the expectation was that inflation in the United States was 3.5%, but really it was 3.4%. And although that is just a small minor win, that small minor win turned the markets bullish. Stock market went well. Bitcoin market went well. Risk on assets are going well. So that small bit of news has just kind of fueled this rally. But this rally isn't just all the CPI news. It's also the sell the news was kind of overextended from that Hong Kong ETF, from that Bitcoin halving. So we were bound to see a bounce anyway. So in my opinion, I think it's a combination of the bullish CPI report, the inflation numbers coming in lower than expected, and then also the over exuberance to the downside and that fear that really came in the market. And what we always say is you want to buy when the blood is in the streets. When people are scared is when you want to buy. When people are greedy is when you want to sell.
Very hard to do, but buy low, sell high. I mean, that's the name of the game. Of course, no financial advice ever on this channel, just our opinions. I want to zoom out a little bit because, you're talking about the consumer price index, you're talking about inflation. These are complex topics. And the question, I think, in some people's mind is probably, well, what the heck does that have to do with Bitcoin? Right? And so I'm no expert in this area by any stretch, but I want to provide sort of a layman's sort of explanation of it as I understand it. So the first thing you understand is the interest rates and how those, if set in America, by the way, we can talk about why America is still sort of the leader in deciding whether the market's going up and down, interest rates, so on and so forth. But that's what it is. The Federal Reserve, which is essentially a branch of the government, independent branch of the government, sets the interest rates. You can move them up or down, and they have other financial tools in their tool belt, which we're not going to get into right now, to either kind of squeeze, tighten the money supply when things are getting too hot, when inflation is getting too high, or loosen things up when they want to, sort of get some juice back in the economy, maybe increase employment, right? That's their two mandates. The Fed's two mandates are stable inflation, 2% a year is what they aim for, and stable employment, right? So those are the two things they're always trying to balance those things. And so just want to back up for a sec. We all remember COVID. We all remember the government's response to COVID, which was to print trillions of dollars. And then that caused a bunch of inflation. There was other reasons for inflation, supply chain issues, so on and so forth. But printed a whole bunch of money, caused bad inflation, and we've been fighting it ever since. And how do we fight it? Well, the Federal Reserve sets interest rates. They increased them. Like every month last year, it seemed like they increased the rates. So we're seeing like 5.5% is the interest rate. It means a mortgage to buy a home is more expensive. Car loans more expensive. Anything more expensive now because of these high rates when you're talking anything to do with debt, anything to do with getting loans. So, okay. Again, what does this have to do with Bitcoin? Well, when the rates are high, this means that as an investor, you actually have the option of investing in lower risk financial assets like certificates of deposits, even just putting money in a saving account and getting a pretty decent return, 5% or whatever. Right. And so when you're presented with those two options as an investor, like, okay, I can do these high risk equities, they're volatile, and even higher risk crypto, even more volatile, or hey, allocate a portion of my portfolio to those lower risk things. People do that when the interest rates are high. So they move out of the risk assets into the more stable stuff. And that is why it affects the risk assets. So then you say, okay, well, why is it they're going? Why is Bitcoin up when inflation number goes down? Well, now the inflation number is going down. The expectation of the markets is that the Fed will cut the rates. Probably, I'm reading they're saying September, October, November. I think it'll happen before the election, but we won't necessarily get into that conspiracy theory now. It'll happen at some point this year, and then risk assets will take off again. Why? Because you can't get as much money just investing in the low risk stuff anymore. So that is what is going on. That's why when a small sort of reduction in the inflation number, everyone gets all exuberant, like, we're back. Equities are back. Risk is back. Memes are back. Crypto's back. That is what is going on. So hopefully folks understand that interplay there. It's fascinating. I said everyone read up Federal Reserve, interest rates, inflation. You got to understand these things if you're in the markets, because this is what moves the markets. Literally, this is what happened today. Why did it go from 60 to 65? That little piece of news, you got to understand it. So hopefully that explains it, Nick. Did I miss anything? Anything you want to add there?
No, I think you really summed it up really well. And like you said, somebody can go and people in traditional finance think that a CD at the bank has zero risk because they believe in the Fed and the dollar. That's a whole other conspiracy we won't get into. But they're getting like 5.5% right now. But if the interest rates start dropping, and the helicopter money starts going and everything else, those CDs will not be producing much, if anything. And that's where people they're forced to deploy that capital, that dry powder into assets, hopefully risk on assets, as that's what we saw during the COVID years in the last bull cycle. So I think you're dead on there. We'll look briefly at the chart real quick. I'm going to share my screen and we'll just show this bullish formation that we are seeing here. So this green lines is kind of the bullish pendant that we're seeing on Bitcoin. You can see here we had a buy indicator off this bullish divergence, and we are right back up to this downtrend line. If we break above this downtrend line, that is supremely bullish from a technical perspective, and the target, yes, is into the $80,000 range, $80,000 to $85,000. We all know what that will mean for Bitcoin holders. We know what that will mean for altcoin holders, and we know that the tide raises all ships. So we all should be rooting for this bullish pendant to play out. This breakout that is underway ever so slightly to really hold. We need to close above that. Wicks don't count. So a breakout, a retest, and then a continuation. And I think we could be the next phase of the bull market. What's interesting is a lot of people started talking about, oh my gosh, Bitcoin's dead. I had people in my group in Crypto Paradise and TDI and Learn Crypto saying, what was that it? The bull market's over. Are altcoins ever going to make another move again? That is showing you the fear is high. And what do you know? If I do percentage change for my following list, we have altcoins up 16.5%, 16%, 13%, 12%, 10% just in the past 24 hours. And just a day or two ago, people were asking if the top is in on Bitcoin, if altcoins will ever rally again. That's not to say that Bitcoin is now going straight to 85,000. There's going to continue to be volatility, but it's just to show you how fast things can change in crypto. You need to find some convictions, get in those projects, get them staked, get the passive income going, and take some profits on the volatility along the way. This is far from over. I think we have 12, 18, 24 more months of real explosive fun in Bitcoin and cryptocurrencies.
Yeah, so you bring up a good point in terms of the fear and the complacency, the boredom that you see. That's usually when you see the move up. The market always surprises you. Just when you think, oh, it's going to go lower, it's going to go lower, or it's going to keep pumping, it's going to keep pumping, it does the opposite, right? And I think you bring up another good point is just be in the markets. Don't panic sell your stuff on the lows. Everyone who is selling over the past few days is probably feeling a little bit silly right now, frankly, right? Like, shoot, I should have been more patient. Things are going turning around and getting better. And again, I don't think it's going to go straight up. I think we're probably going to be sort of chopping between the 60 to 70K range for another month, 2 months, whatever the case may be. But people forget the halving did just happen. There is going to be an impact of that at some point here with the amount of Bitcoin going into circulation every day, getting cut in half. A month ago it was six, basically a little over 6 Bitcoin. Now it's a little over 3 Bitcoin every block. Right. That makes a big difference over time.
People say like, oh, well, it's less of a reduction, and that's true because there's less to come, but it's still 450 Bitcoin. And although it's less of a reduction, Bitcoin price is much higher than the early halvings as well. So that in terms of fiat dollars, it's something like 20 to 25 million dollars a day of Bitcoin that is not going into circulation anymore due to the halving. That's a lot of buy pressure to offset that. So only 450 Bitcoin per day. That's a reduction of 20 to 25 million dollars per day at current prices. If we go to $100,000 Bitcoin, you're looking at 30 to 35 million dollars a day in reduction versus the past 4 years. So that adds up. That is a ton of money, a ton of buying pressure that isn't needed to sustain the price of Bitcoin.
Yeah, it's funny because even myself, who, and I know you as well, we're deep in the space. We're full time in the space, 24/7 crypto, all that stuff. I actually forgot that the halving happened. I saw an article, I was like, oh yeah, shit, the halving just happened. You almost forget, right? Because the price is basically the same as it was. So you're like, you haven't processed it, and then you think for a second, wait, like everything is lining up. You know what I mean? I think it just, we get a couple more positive readings on the inflation. It comes out every month. They do it every month. I think we're going to see it slowly trickling down. I want to touch on this subject a little bit more than we touch into memes. You can actually get very granular with the reading because they look at all sectors. They look at like retail, food, groceries, outside, restaurants. They look at even stuff as esoteric, seemingly esoteric as car insurance. And what you actually see is there's a few drivers of the current inflation and why it's not quite at 2%, why it's kind of stubbornly in this 3% range. One of the two things are rents, stubbornly high rents that keep going up, and one other weird thing is car insurance, and another one I think is like medical services, right? And so the rents is a big one. Rents is a huge weight. They give that a big weight in the CPI rating because it's what most people spend all their money on,
Right.
right? Everybody spend like half your money on
Rent or a
rent
mortgage.
or a mortgage, right? And so, but what they call this is a lagging indicator because people get locked into these their leases a year ago, whatever, and so it takes a long time for the when if rents are going down, it takes longer for that data to sort of filter into the CPI rating. And what we're seeing though across these various sectors is actually inflation is going down, and there's certain indicators that are showing that the American consumer is actually under pressure, particularly low-income Americans who are living more paycheck to paycheck. They have more credit card debt, so on and so forth. These high rates are really weighing on them. They're going out to fast food less, they're buying less, they're doing less, they're spending less, and so that is going to have that when people are not spending, companies can't raise prices and owners can't raise rents. And so you got to think these things through, but it all kind of adds up to the rates are the CPI rates going to keep going down, and the interest rates eventually are going to get dropped with it because we just people can't afford
Well, yeah, I think the credit
6%
card,
interest rates for this long. It's
the
crazy.
average credit card interest rate now is like 29% on a credit card because it's 5.5%, but then mortgages are like 7 to 8, and then credit card is the most extreme is like 29 because just their baseline cost of money supply is higher now too. So that's insane to think about.
Yeah. So all this stuff, it's weighing on the consumer. Companies can't raise prices much. You have some lagging indicators, but even those like rents are showing that it's going down. You have wonky things like car insurance that are getting raised for weird reasons. But so bottom line is everything's trending in the right direction. They're going to cut the rates at some point this year. I don't know when, but they're going to cut the rates. So I even told, again, not financial advice, but I had a call with my own financial advisor, guy to do stocks with, blah, 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 moved me out of the CDs into the equities like a month ago. Because I saw the writing on the wall. I was like, I don't want to be this 5%. I want to be in equities. It's going to get 10%.
Right.
Right.
Yeah. So I mean,
traditional.
like you said, if interest rates do get cut, if inflation trends down, we have the presidential election. We just had the Bitcoin halving. You have the Ethereum ETF that is up for approval this month and August. If it gets approved this month or August, that's a big win for crypto. And then, of course, you have the Hong Kong ETFs that just started for both Bitcoin and spot ETF, and they're working to allow Chinese citizens to buy both those spot ETFs. A lot of things are lining up for Bitcoin in the crypto markets. And I guess that's also a good segue to what's driving this kind of meme frenzy right now, not only in crypto, but in stocks too. Roaring Kitty came back. He's talking about GME, GameStop. He's talking about AMC, the movie theater that you used to go to as a kid, but you haven't stepped foot in 10 years. And those stocks are ripping. is that also funneling enthusiasm and money back to crypto yet, or what do you see that's going on really there, and how does that benefit us, regardless of whether you own these two stocks or not?
Yeah, so I do think there's an interplay between the two, but I don't know if um money is directly going from like stocks into crypto to buy memes in crypto. But let's just talk a little bit about what's going on here. So Roaring Kitty is kind of a famous guy now. He probably has millions of followers, but he called the GameStop. He basically created that entire massive run on GameStop back in the COVID years when everyone was trading memes on like Robinhood, right? And there was a whole movie about this you can watch on Netflix. It's fast. It's such a good movie, by the way. So check out that movie. But this guy, he's just a dude like in his basement, was a trader at some run of the mill TradFi company, and was like a real true believer in GameStop as a stock. He thought the fundamentals were super strong, right? Or at least this is how the story goes. And he would just go on his like podcast, kind of like this one here, and every day be talking about GameStop. And people picked up on it. They loved it. It was kind of became this, little guy against like the hedge fund douchebag who were short seller, had out short positions on GameStop. So when the price started to pump, all these short sellers losing money, and then that just picked up steam, and it was like the David versus Goliath thing, and it was great story, right, during the COVID years. He kind of disappeared. He made like his millions, disappeared for a year, few years, but now he's back. Roaring Kitty is back. He's out there making content. I'm seeing his tweets on Twitter. They're hilarious. And so he's pumping GameStop again. Apparently, he's pumping AMC as well. And those are stocks, not crypto. I don't know the extent to which like the people say you bought GameStop, you're now hunting for memes on like Solana or base chain. I don't know if that's the case. It might be. My guess though is that crypto, it's very trend, it's very hype driven, it's very like just especially in the meme world, it's very like it's the trend is like now. So like if Trump is in the news, you'll see like 100 meme coins of like Trump, right? Biden in the news, but meme coins of Biden, right? Now GameStop, those are in the news. And so memes are back in the news. And so memes and crypto are pumping. But I think it's mostly within the crypto space who are buying it. What do you think about that?
Yeah, I would say that it helps the enthusiasm and the narrative around memes and crypto, but I don't, like you said, I don't think people who are in GameStop and kind of the Web 2-ish people who might own a little bit of crypto are buying memes on Solana or Base, because that takes some time to even learn how to do that. I do think if they, we need another gap higher. We need GameStop to go to another new high into the 80s, and then a lot of these retail people would be making money. If they are trading in Robinhood, that means they could have that liquid cash and that profits in Robinhood. And that's where I think some of those funds might come into a Bitcoin, an Ethereum, a Doge, whatever they have access to of kind of those large caps on Robinhood, and maybe get their enthusiasm back about crypto as they are seeing Doge's up 12% today. Floki's up 15% today. And as you get that dopamine going for these smaller scale investors, that's what really keeps them coming back for more. So I do agree with you. No, they're not buying the base of Solana, but yes, I think some funds have and will continue to trickle in if AMC and GameStop go higher into the large caps via Robinhood and some of these other platforms. As for the GameStops on Solana and Base and the AMCs, I've not really played those. Why? Because there was literally, I searched like there's 22 GME crypto tickers. And it's like, yeah, you
Wow.
can get into some of those and win, but just as many are losers. So, the one on Pulse Chain is doing pretty good because there's only one. Solana had 12, Base had 5. It's like choosing those in real time with very small liquidity is very high risk. And most of the people who are getting into those and bragging about the winners put probably $100 into each and maybe hit it big on one. And you hope that that one winner outweighs all the losers. Very risky way to do it. I think for me and probably for you is we're saying, all right, the meme narrative's in play. I'm not going to chase the GameStops in those because who knows. But let's chase some other memes, and those are doing well. I'll share the screen and I'll talk about Floki, and then I'm sure you'll want to talk about maybe Frank and some of these other ones who are doing good for us that we've talked about. Floki here, you see on the chart, it's super constructive. I was talking about this kind of ascending triangle here looking for a breakout. And on the back of this hype around memes, well, it did break out. It broke out about 20%. We're now getting rejected on this previous uptrend line. It would be very bullish if it comes back to this breakout level around 2000 here. That's where I would say take a position for the next move higher. As the meme narrative continues, the TA on Floki looks good, and they have big news coming out at the end of May. But Floki is a meme coin, more than a meme coin that we've really followed for a long time. It's my personal favorite dog meme coin. It continues to outperform Doge. So if I am right, And people make money on GME and AMC, and they swap it on Robinhood to Bitcoin or Ethereum and Doge. Doge is always a leading indicator for Floki. When Doge does well, Floki follows and does better. That is why I'm saying probably want to get a position in Floki, especially if it can go down here back to this 2000 level where it just broke out. I think that's a good setup for Floki. And some of these other memes that we've been following are doing well. Base chain memes are doing well. And I'm sure Ian has one that he wants to talk about that we haven't really brought fully to Crypto Paradise yet, but maybe we'll have more in-depth content on that, but we can mention them here.
Yeah, the one you're talking about is Frank, by the way, called Frank, Farmer Frank, which I'll talk about in a second. I do want to give a shout out to Floki. We actually got a chance to know the Floki team pretty damn well. Nick's been close to them for a long time because they're more than a meme now, in my opinion. They have actual products and token utilities. So we actually use some of their products. They have this FlokiFi locker product where you can lock liquidity. I won't go into the details of that, but we've gotten to know the team over there. Awesome people. It's more than a meme now, in my opinion, right? It's transcended that. But the thing about Floki is it's already huge. It's already
Right.
like what top is it top 100 now? Top 200? I
I
mean,
think
it's massive.
it's top 100, I believe.
Top 100.
It's the third largest dog meme coin, I believe.
Yeah. So if you got in early on Floki is great if you're like, hey, I want to have meme exposure. It'll probably do well this bull run, but it's not gonna do another 100x.
Right.
That's a very unlikely, right? So what I've been looking at are these memes on base chain. I like base over a Solana because it's not as gate kept. You don't have to have a unique. It's an EVM. It's sort of an Ethereum based chain, so it's very easy with your MetaMask to access it. I believe retail is going to find that easier, so I'm bullish on base. And if you look at the data, you see base is growing tremendously. Not to say Solana's doing poorly, but base is on a nice uptrend in terms of address created, tokens created, volume, liquidity, etc. So bullish on base. Been looking at a few of the base now. Look, a lot of these memes are scams. Let's just be honest. They're either purposely designed to be a rug pull or there's just nothing to it, and maybe it pumps, but then it dumps right back down and it's over in a day. I don't like those because I don't have time to trade those. It's too hard. It's just not worth the risk in my view, and not worth the time and effort. So trying to find ones that we think can go the distance, survive. Maybe they won't do 100x, but they probably won't die in a day. And I found three that I really like. Mel is one. We've talked about Mel a lot. They're sort of evolving into meme-fi. They're building out specific products to support that ecosystem. They may involve some additional sub tokens. There's going to be some DeFi products built out around that. So Mel is evolving in a really cool way, and we'll have Tomas back on the show hopefully soon to go into that stuff. Another one I just got into yesterday is called Base Gulp, and they did a really innovative launch where they basically prevented sniper bots from being able to get in to the beginning of the launch. And they did this by making it so that only certain addresses, whitelisted addresses, could get in for the first hour. And who do they give those whitelisted addresses, or whose addresses did they whitelist? Influencers, important people, KOLs, owners of big, influential people within the base ecosystem are now in this Base Sculpt project. And that's why it ran from like 200,000 to like 9 million, and you're not seeing any sells because there's no sniper bots in it. It's just, KOLs who are aiming for 100x.
I didn't get any gulp. You got to send me some in. Thanks. Appreciate it.
I told you about the Gulp, man. I told you he's lying. I told him about Gulp. It was a wonky launch, and you had to be up at that right time. But anyway, so Gulp is cool. I think they're going to do well because they have a lot of influential people in there, and there's no sniper bots in that one. So that one's cool. Just starting out, launched just yesterday, right? But the one I really want to focus on a little bit more on this episode is Farmer Frank, or Frank, right? This is one I saw being shilled by an influencer called Uncle Bob Crypto. Check him out. He's no G in the space. He's made some good calls, super connected. So he's talking about this one a few weeks ago when they had done a pre-sale. I was like, looks interesting. Did a little due diligence. I didn't really start paying more attention until they launched. I think they launched about a week ago now. Mm-hmm. And the whole concept there, they are also meme-fi. I'm a big believer in ultimately, it's better to have some utility than be a pure meme, because if you're a pure meme, it can easily just run up and run immediately back down. There's no reason to hold the token. So if it starts to go down, everyone exits and it's done. This is different. This you can actually hold and or trade the Frank token to earn other memes. How this works is when you trade Frank, you buy or sell it, there's a small token tax that you pay. And the fees collected, the taxes collected, are then used to buy other memes on base. And then those meme coins are then returned and you can to the people who did the trading. And they just today opened up the staking option. So if you're not a trader, you just want to buy and hold, you can buy and just stake Frank and claim. And actually, you claim in that case ETH. So staking Frank, you can earn ETH. Trading Frank, you earn these other memes. Why do I like this? Well, passive income, token utility is clear, right? I've been farming it, making 50, $100 a day. I mean, not getting rich or anything, but it's sitting at a $500,000 market cap.
Right.
So the upside on the token itself is huge, and there's real utility. By the way, we know the team, awesome people. We don't know them, but we're in a group with them and chatting with them and stuff. Very responsive people, very friendly people. Also, like prolific devs. So they built in the past week, first of all the stuff I just described, right? But they built this basically Uniswap clone called FrankSwap, which is faster and better and cheaper than Uniswap. Built that in like a day. They identified a problem with Uniswap on base. They're like, oh shit, we got to solve this problem. And they built their own freaking Uniswap clone in a day. Like, what? Okay, that's amazing. Then we kept asking them, hey, like, look, the trading thing is great, but we think you should have an option where, you can just stake the token to earn. Because not everyone wants to be a trader. They want to be a hodler. Cool. They're like, yes, I agree. And they built the whole staking platform in 3 days. It's
Right.
like, wow, these guys are fast as hell. So nice people, good devs, cool narrative, $500,000 market cap. So to me, that's a great opportunity, not financial advice, but we're bullish on Frank. Shout out to them. Shout out to their community. I don't know if you have anything to add, Nick, but you should buy some
Yeah,
Frank.
yeah. Base Frank, we talked about it originally, shortly after launch. Like you said, May 9th at launch, there was a pre-sale. So we didn't want to bring out that information right away because we're hesitant on the pre-sale. We want to see what the terms are. About a day later, we found out that the pre-sale was 100% at TGE. And what did we see in the chart? We saw a pump from virtually nothing up to around 300,000 and then a dump back to about 100 to 200,000. That's when we found out, hey, 100% of TGE, that is all the pre-sales jeeting out. And that's when we kind of brought it public to you on May 10th. Again, the valuation was somewhere between 150,000 to 200,000 market cap. Since then, it's gone up and to the right, trading volatility based on their token economics. And now we're sitting at a 500,000 market cap. So if you've been following and you're in our Crypto Paradise Telegram, you would have seen this. You would already be up double your money. And now we're coming here making this kind of insert video for the meme saying, hey, we still think it's a really good opportunity. 500,000 market cap. Staking just went live, so you can just buy and hold. The farming is kicking butt. And, maybe, just maybe, this is a hint that more marketing from Crypto Paradise and other KOLs is coming for Base Frank as they move forward with announcements. I don't know if you saw on the Twitter, the next 24 to 48 hours, more announcements coming out of Base Frank, and we'll see what's going on there. That coupled with the meme narrative that's coming from Roaring Kitty, that coupled with the crypto narrative that's coming from Bitcoin going up 3% in a day is really supercharging Base Frank. And then lastly, the most important thing with the memes is the memes themselves. They're pretty funny, and they've kind of shown us some other images they haven't used yet. And those memes that are coming are also really hilarious. So when people laugh, they like to hit that buy button. And that's why we think Base Frank could go higher.
Yeah, if you check out the memes, it's like a play on Pepe, right? It's like a Pepe, it's like a Pepe guy, but like a man, but he's got like a frog face. He's blue, but he like, and he's doing funny stuff, right? He's farming, he's surrounded by like beautiful women, like he's, all the memes. They're doing all the memes. So they're doing that right. They got the meme-fi, the DeFi stuff right. Big announcement. But the one other thing I want to just touch on real quick why I like it as well is it's a natural marketing sort of engine because every time they are buying new memes, how that works is they're doing like a vote within their community. Hey, should we buy this meme, buy that meme, whatever. And there's a tweet about it. There's like a poll, whatever. And they're tagging the other memes. My guess is these other meme communities will eventually find out about Frank just by virtue of all these like tweets going out like, oh shit, did you hear this farmer Frank just bought $10,000 worth of Boomer? Boomer's a meme on base that hit it huge. So wait, what? No shit. And then they're distributing it to the Frank traders and the Frank stakers? Wow. That's pretty dope. I'll buy some Frank. It's only sitting at 500,000 market. So I think it's a natural mark. Their whole tech and the whole ecosystem and economy is a natural marketing engine, which to me, I would like to see that as well. So not financial advice, as always, just our opinions. We happen to like Frank. Maybe you guys do, maybe you guys don't. Give us your thoughts, comments, and feedback below. Yeah, anything else we want to cover today here, Nick?
Yeah, so I guess this video is primarily about general market conditions. Hopefully you guys listened to us and didn't get lulled to sleep or didn't panic the lows. We think a lot higher for Bitcoin over the next year. I don't know where in the volatility we sit now. We kind of showed you a chart that we're close to a breakout for the next move higher. But hopefully no black swan events. Hopefully inflation keeps going down. I know we're saying a lot of hope, 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 but really all you're doing in investing is you're speculating and taking educated guesses on where you're at in the market cycle. And what we can say for certain is history often repeats itself. And right now, Bitcoin would tell us that we have another bullish 2024 close. We have a bullish 2025. That would be at the worst case scenario, in my opinion. We're going to have the remainder of 2024 and 2025 bullish. And then if I'm right, and all this new institutional exposure, businesses buying Bitcoin, technological improvements, brand awareness and acceptance globally for Bitcoin and crypto, I think this could be the longest bull market. But we'll go step by step, and we hope you guys keep tuning along. Keep following us for some alpha. Get in some of the memes that we're doing because we've been absolutely killing it when we're telling you to get in these memes. These aren't the ones that go up 10,000% in a day and you gotta, get in early and get out quick. We're trying to find utility-based memes that have nice, slow, steady growth and are producing massive double-digit, triple-digit, 10x returns for that portfolio.
Love it. Yep. Early stage of the bull run, guys. We are all gonna make it. Just stay following Crypto Paradise. Let us know your thoughts, your feedback, your comments here in the comment section. Smash the like button on, and we will see you on the beach.